Hey guys, this video is going to be for the Iranian people and my message to them. And I'm wearing this necklace that I bought. This is the Farabahar, which is the sign of the true Iranian religion, which is Zoroastrianism, to show my solidarity with the people, not the regime. As I hope the regime falls as soon as possible, because they're an evil regime, and they're an evil regime against their own people. But it has to fall the right way. You know, it can't fall from outside. It has to come from within, or else, you know, we don't want to have another Iraq. But this message is for the Iranian people, and that is, you know, unlike Iraq or Syria or Lebanon or Libya, Jordan, the Palestinians, you know, you guys have a very clear understanding of your ancient history. You know, far before Islam ever came to the shores of Persia, there was a great civilization that had existed for thousands of years. And while the Arabs were just desert dwellers, robbing caravans and, you know, just being desert nomads, you had built great cities, great metropolises, had vast empires, and were places of learning, and had a very sophisticated, complex society with a very sophisticated religion. And, you know, due to an auspicious timing for the Arabs during a conflict, you know, series of conflicts that the Persians had with the Romans, the Arabs were able to defeat the Persians in war and forcefully convert them to Islam. And I know that most Iranian people know this. They understand how their civilization became Islamized. And it's only gotten worse since 1979 with the Islamic Revolution. You know, but right now is a historic moment. And this moment may never come again, where you have an opportunity to rise up against this evil regime that has kept you in bondage, that continues to enrich themselves and line their pockets and fill their coffers at your expense. A country that has defamed and tarnished your good name as a people by exporting terrorism and chaos and instability in an already volatile region of the world. You know, the descendants of Cyrus, the liberator, the great king, that even, you know, Greek philosophers such as Xenophon wrote about in his book, The Education of Cyrus. And the same Cyrus that was revered by the Hebrews as a great liberator that liberated them from Babylonian captivity and allowed them to go back to the land of Israel and rebuild the Second Temple. Land of the Aryans, that's what Iran means in Farsi. Now is a time to rise up. Now is a time to take to the streets. The world is behind you. The good people of the world are behind you. There are those that are under the spell of darkness, hatred, manipulation, that believe that the regime is good and that the regime is acting in defiance of the oppressors. But in this instance, they have confused who is the oppressor and who is the oppressed. And the oppressor is the Islamic regime, and the oppressed are the people of Iran. But true change, true liberation can only come from within. It has to be a national consciousness that arises, that stands up against the oppression. When I've had the privilege of meeting a lot of people from your nation in the Iranian diaspora, and I've met Iranians of every religion, from Islam to Zoroastrian to Baha'i to Jewish to Christian to atheist to agnostic. And one thing is certain that I find is that you all identify as being from Iran, and I have the spelling here because it's difficult for me as an American to pronounce, but at Shaharshan Bisuri, where which is a holiday where a fire jumping ritual, or Nowruz. This is a holiday that all Iranians celebrate, regardless of religion. I had an opportunity to go to a ceremony of jumping over the fire. I just forgot what it was called, but I had gone to one. And I was amazed that there were Iranians of every religion there. And you have your own traditions. That this is a tradition that predated Islam, predated the Arab conquest. Find me a Syrian tradition that predates the Arab invasion of Syria. Find me an Egyptian tradition that predates the Arab invasion of Egypt. Find me a Libyan. Find me a Lebanese. Find me a Palestinian. Find me a Jordanian. And find me an Iraqi. And the answer is that you can't. Because these nations have no knowledge of who they really are. And they just call themselves Arabs because they have even though there were people living in these lands for thousands of years before the Arabs got there. That's not the same with you guys. It's not the same with Iran. So I think it's time to start honoring your ancestry and honoring the rich heritage that you come from, and take back your country. I do not want to see another war happen in the Middle East. I do not want boots on the ground, American boots on the ground. I do not want an all-out confrontation between Iran and Israel. What I want to see is a true, genuine Iranian spiritual revolution to liberate its people from a barbaric and evil regime that has oppressed its own people since its inception. And a lot of American people know that the regime does not represent accurately at all the Iranian people. There have been many Iranians from the diaspora that have said this in no uncertain terms, that this regime is not a fair representation of its people. And I don't know what it's like to live under an autocratic theocracy. I have no idea. I can only imagine how difficult that is and how awful that is. But now is the time. From a nation whose motto used to be good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, which was beautiful saying, aphorism of the true religion of the Iranians, which is Zoroastrianism. And that got morphed, transmogrified into Allahu Akbar and death to America and death to Israel and death to the West, and that's a real shame. It's something so wise, so simple, yet so eloquent. Good deeds, good thoughts, good words. Something so universal. Could implode into something so ugly, almost demonic, of death to America, death to Israel, death to the West, Allahu Akbar. It's time to put it on the line. Let's rise up and let's take back this country. Let's not forget who really stole your real identity. Because it didn't happen in 1979. It didn't happen in 1955. It happened in 631 AD. And that is the Arabs, and that is Islam, and the forceful conversion of your people to it. And all I need to point to you to remember that is the Yazdegerd III's letter to Caliph Umar ibn Khattab, and the Battle of Qadisiyah, which followed his letter rebuking Islam. So remember who you are, and remember how you got here. And you didn't get here because of America, or the West, or Europe, or even Israel. You got here because of Islam. So instead of saying America is my enemy, the West is my enemy, Israel is my enemy, why don't you remember who your real enemy is? Because it's none of the above. That's all I have to say. Hope this is heard by as many people as possible. And I hope the Iranian people do something about their situation. Because now the regime is under attack. Donald Trump has just launched missile airstrikes into all three nuclear facilities, Natanz, Esfahan, and Fordo. and he used the B-2 aircraft carriers to deliver the bunker buster bombs. And hopefully the regime is at its end. So the dirty work has been, the groundwork has been done for you. The regime's ballistic missiles have been depleted. The nuclear scientists have been killed. Their top military strategists have been killed. And the Ayatollah is hiding in a hole like the rat that he is. And there's only one thing left to do. And that is for its people to rise up and realize that the game is up. And it's time to take back your country and join the rest of the world and use your brilliance and your rich past, your glorious past, to once again be counted as one of the nations, and hopefully one of the nations that is on the side of progress, is on the side of goodness, is on the side of wisdom and moving forward. Being a creator of peace and stability, not a fomenter of chaos and terrorism. Because I believe that Iran can be a great nation. It can be a world leader. It can add to the benefit of mankind. But cannot come with this regime. This regime is the albatross around the Iranian people's neck. And that's all I have to say. Stay tuned for more.